What's up, NFL fans? Let's talk week 5 NFL matchups, who's going to win, what you should bet on, all of that good stuff right here. Follow along. All right, so I'm going to get the screen pulled up here. All right, so now, all right, going to start off with the wild, crazy Thursday night matchup between the Atlanta Falcons and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 36-30 overtime. Captain Kirk Cousins, 509 yards and a big game-winning touchdown in overtime. What a day. 42 for 58. Man, he just found everyone. You feasted if you had those guys in fantasy football. Kirk Cousins, 509 and 4 touchdowns. In one of my leagues, the guy was a free agent. So I know someone wished they picked him up and started him that week with this week. Drake London, 12 catches, 154. What a game. Really good football game overall. Falcons 36-30 win against the Bucs. Both teams are 3-2 on the season. That was a big opportunity for the Bucs to put some space in between them, the Falcons, and the Saints, but they didn't get the job done. And I think there's 3 good football teams in that division, minus Carolina, of course. But I think there's 3 good football teams in that division that all have a chance to make the playoffs. That was something that I actually predicted as something that could happen, that 3 teams could make the playoffs out of the division. I think most people would think that I was crazy for saying that. All right, so right now as we speak, on my TV behind me in London, the Jets are playing the Vikings. The Vikings lead 20-17. Sam Darnold threw a horrible interception a minute ago to set the Jets up for a touchdown. Vikings have a pick 6 in this game from my guy, Andrew Van Ginkel. Wish he was still in Miami. The Gink is the man. I'm hoping, obviously, as a Dolphin fan, I'm hoping the Vikings hold on and win this game because I can't stand the New Jersey Jets or the New York Jets, whatever you want to call them. So, yeah, you know where I'm coming from that perspective, but it's a good football game. 20-17 over in London, 4:33 to play right now. Hoping the Minnesota Vikings hold on. Aaron Rodgers has 206 yards, 2 touchdowns. Justin Jefferson's doing well for Minnesota, 6 catches, 92 yards. Not a lot so far from Sam Darnold. He's really not had that great game. He's been an MVP candidate legitimately so far, but 4 games into the season, I don't really believe in counting MVP candidates. He just made a big throw down to the 24-yard line. But on to the next game. All right, so these games are coming up in 23 minutes, so let me hurry up and get through them. The Carolina Panthers are visiting the Chicago Bears. We've seen the Carolina Panthers offense look a lot better under veteran quarterback Andy Dalton. They go visit Caleb Williams and the Bears. Caleb's looked better lately, but still only 3 touchdowns through 4 games, 4 interceptions. Bears 2-2, Panthers 1-3. The Bears are a 4-point favorite at home. I would lean Chicago, but I think this game could be around that. It could be a very close game. These games, the margin of error is so thin in these games. And the way Andy Dalton's playing, I would not be shocked at all. If Carolina didn't pull an upset there. But I would take the Bears. I think the Bears will win. But some of these receivers for Carolina, like Deontay Johnson, if you're in fantasy, these guys have come alive since Andy Dalton's taken the reins. And then Adam Thielen's out, so Deontay Johnson's a guy you should start in fantasy. I know I am. Next, you got the Ravens, big game, visiting the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals only 1-3. They got their first win a week ago against the aforementioned Carolina Panthers. The Baltimore Ravens 2-2 on the season, going on the road. Picked up a huge win over Buffalo last week. Ravens a 2.5-point favorite on the road. The Bengals defense has not looked good at all this season. So, man, Joe Burrow's played really well despite that 1-3 record. Don't pin that on Burrow. He had 1 bad game, the first game of the season, but he's got 978 yards, 7 touchdowns, and only 1 single interception. But Baltimore, they got Derrick Henry toting the rock, 480 yards already, 5 touchdowns, had 199 yards last week. And then you got the ever dangerous Lamar Jackson, 2.5-point favorite here. I'd probably actually pick Baltimore. I think they'll win this game by a field goal or maybe a touchdown. It's going to be a close game. So it's a game that can go either way, but I'd probably go with Baltimore if I was betting this game to beat the Bengals because the Bengals defense is probably going to let them down again. The next game's a snooze fest. Y'all know how much I love my Dolphins, but since Tua's been out, this team's been hard to watch. They're a 2-point favorite on the road against New England, and they're starting Snoop Hundley, if you will, Tyler Snoop Hundley. He was freaking horrible. I want to use a different word for it last Monday night against Tennessee. He had Tyreek Hill for 3 touchdowns. You know how many touchdowns Tyreek Hill caught? That would be 0. Tyreek Hill had 33 yards receiving last week. Horrible game, worst game he's had in Miami. Of course, Tua 6-0 against New England, but he's not playing in this game. So, man, Tyreek Hill only 217 yards this year, and 130 came in the first game when Tua played. So, man, we know New England's bad. Both teams are 1-3. Ramondre Stevenson has been, known as the best runner or best player on New England's offense, but they're thinking of benching him because he has a fumbling problem. Jacoby Brissett, we know he stinks as well for New England. I think this is going to be an awful football game. I'm just going to be honest with you. 2-point favorite. After last week, I don't want to pick Miami. I really don't. So I'm going to take New England. I think it's going to be an ugly game. 12-10, 13-10, 13-9 sort of game. I probably wouldn't bet this game, but if I was, I'd probably just take New England and just 2 points. Probably just go that way. Cleveland Browns against the Washington Commanders. They're red hot. The Commanders 3-1. The Browns coming in 1-3. Browns have a good defense. Obviously, they have a bad quarterback situation, and Jaden Daniels has been performing at a serious and MVP level, not just rookie of the year, MVP level in his past 2 games. The man's been remarkable, the former Tiger. He's got 897 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, not to mention his rushing yards as well. But this man's been making things happen the past 2 weeks. And they crushed Arizona last week. They beat Cincinnati on the road the previous week. The Washington Commanders are a legit contender to win the NFC East. I don't like the way the Cowboys look. I don't like the way the Eagles look. They're a legit contender. And I think 3 points, again, is not a point spread that I like because anytime you see 3 points, there's always a potential push. I don't like 3-point spreads. I don't like 4-point spreads. I don't like 7-point spreads because those spreads are always good potential pushes. So if I was going to bet this, which I wouldn't do because it's a 3-point spread, I probably would go Washington here. I think Washington's just a better team right now, and they're at home. I think they'll take care of business. Indianapolis, 3.5-point dog against winless Jacksonville. Jacksonville 0-4, Indy 2-2. Indy will be starting the veteran Joe Flacco. Obviously, their quarterback Anthony Richardson is out injured. Jacksonville winless. They're not going to keep losing, in my opinion. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, he's not living up to money. He's struggling. He played pretty well against Houston last week. They did enough to beat Houston, but Houston was just a little bit better. Houston was at home, and they survived that game in the end. But there's no question Jacksonville played better in that game. If they want to save their coach's job, they're going to have to pull off a win here today and pull off one soon. Because if they keep losing, they're going to be having an interim coach really soon. But I like the way the rookie Brian Thomas Jr. has looked so far this year. They got Travis Etienne in the backfield. I think that's going to be enough for them to get by Joe Flacco's team at home. 3.5 points. I probably would take Indy because I think this is a field goal type game. They're on the wrong side of the 3 points. I probably would go Indy if I was betting it, but I think Jacksonville wins this game close. Buffalo, a 1.5-point underdog at Houston. Both teams 3-1 on the year. Houston's not been impressive at all this year. Buffalo has been impressive, but they got impressively embarrassed last week by Baltimore. So They're going to be looking for a little payback. They're going against Stephon Diggs and the Houston Texans. Stephon Diggs is going to want to show out against his old team, but I think Josh Allen and those guys, they're going to want to show out a little bit more after that Baltimore game. And like I said, Houston's 3-1, but they've not been impressive in any of these wins. They've not exactly looked like a Chris machine. C.J. Stroud's been good, not great. I think Buffalo bounces back. They're 1.5-point underdog, getting points. I think they bounce back and win this game outright. Now we go to the next 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock window if you're on the East Coast. The Denver Broncos at home against the Las Vegas Raiders. The Broncos are 3-point favorite here against the Raiders. The Raiders actually have a long streak. I want to say they beat the Broncos maybe 8 times in a row, something like that. Gardner Minshew and the gang. Raiders, they're not impressive on offense. Brock Bowers is a beast at tight end. That young guy is good. Denver at 2-2, they're better than most people thought. They won back-to-back weeks. They went on the road and handed Tampa an upset, and they beat Aaron Rodgers and the Jets on the road as well. So in ugly weather conditions, they didn't get much from their quarterback, but their defense is playing top-level football. And I think the defense plays well enough again to get the Broncos a win. But again, I don't like the 3 points because I totally see this game as a game that the Broncos win on a field goal at the end for 3 points. But, Vegas, they like to do this sometimes. I hate 3-point spreads because I think it could land in a push zone. But if I had to take it, I probably would take the Broncos and hope they win by 4 or 7. But I can see it being 3. Next game's the Arizona Cardinals. They're 1-3. They're visiting the 2-2 San Francisco 49ers. The Niners are 7-point favorite here. Another spread that I don't like, the 7 points. I would take the Niners here because I don't like the way Arizona's playing. They looked good 1 week against the Rams. 1 week. That's all. And they've looked pretty bad since. They got humiliated last week. I would take the 49ers. I think the rookie Mason has stepped in and looked really good in the absence of Christian McCaffrey. And I just think Brock Purdy and those guys, they're just a better team. They're at home. They should win this game by 10 points or more, in my opinion. And 7 points they should cover. Green Bay is a 3-point favorite on the road against the Rams. The Rams 1-3, decimated with injuries. The Packers 2-2. Again, another 3-point spread. I hate these spreads that I'm looking at right now. Don't like them at all. Matthew Stafford's playing about as good as he could play, I guess, with the lack of weapons. He's only got 2 touchdown passes in 4 games and 2 picks, but without your 2 best receivers, I mean, it's hard. It's hard for the Rams. And I would definitely land on Green Bay here. I think they're just a better football team all around. Jordan Love struggled in the first half, coming back from injury last week, played really well in the second half. I think Green Bay is just a better team. They'll win this game by at least a touchdown. Then you go to the New York Giants, visiting the Seattle Seahawks. Giants 1-3, Seahawks 3-1, and the Seahawks play at home. Seahawks look pretty good, especially on offense, battling against a good Detroit team on the road Monday night. Even though they lost that game, they showed a lot of moxie. I was more impressed with them in a loss than anything, than most of their wins, just to be honest with you, because their wins all came against bad football teams. I think Geno Smith and the guys, I think they bounce back this week. I think they beat the Giants by more than a touchdown, but 7 points, again, I don't like it. I wish it was 6.5. I think Seattle takes care of business. And by the way, Daniel Jones has not been playing bad for the Giants. Malik Neighbors expected to be out this week, and Neighbors it's good, man. He is a really good receiver. Rookie out of LSU, really good. Next game, Sunday Night Football, 2 of the most popular franchises in the league, arguably the 2 most popular. The Dallas Cowboys coming in 2-2. The Pittsburgh Steelers coming in 3-1. Pittsburgh lost their first game of the season a week ago in Indianapolis. Pittsburgh's a 2.5-point favorite at home. I don't like the way Dallas is playing. I don't think they have an identity. They can't run the ball. I look at Pittsburgh, on the other hand, they have a definite identity. Their identity is they play defense. They play really good defense. And I think they play good enough defense to get this win, 2.5 points. I like that because it's on the right side of that 3 points. And I think Pittsburgh wins this game by 3 to 7 points. So the last game, I'm going to go to Monday Night Football and talk New Orleans Saints. 2-2. Looked great the first 2 weeks. Last 2 weeks, a little unlucky. Think they could have won both games, but ended up on the wrong side. Playing against the Kansas City Chiefs, 4-0 on the season, but have not been overly impressive. Patrick Mahomes, 904 yards, 6 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. I'm not sure, but I think he may lead the league in interceptions, and 4 of those 5 interceptions were ugly. But you always give Patrick Mahomes the benefit of the doubt because when the playoffs come around, he is the guy that you want on your team. You know, big situations. No one's going to argue Patrick Mahomes the best quarterback in the league, but he's certainly not playing like it right now. But they're 4-0. You know, I actually like the New Orleans Saints in this game. They're 5.5-point underdogs. I think that they cover this. And the question is, can they win this game? Because I feel like if this game's really close, I feel like the referees, they're going to side with Kansas City and find a way to get the Chiefs the victory if it's close. I think the Saints need to win this game by 10 points in order to win it. So I'll tell you right now, I'll take them on the spread. I think Kansas City and the refs, I don't want to keep getting into the refs thing, but I think they find a way to probably pull this game out close. Good game. Detroit Lions, Tennessee Titans, Philadelphia Eagles, and Chargers are all off this week. So if you're wondering why I didn't call those teams names, they have a bye week. This is the first week of the season with a bye. So the games are getting ready to start in about 9 minutes. So get this video uploaded, and I'm sure this video will come up after the games have already started. But y'all have a fun football Sunday as always. And remember, peace and football. See y'all later.